Chosen one, lock your attention on my voice right now. That urge to scroll past this message is not an accident. Resist it. You have been feeling a massive shift in the atmosphere around you all week. The energy in your home feels heavy and entirely unfamiliar. You did not find this video by chance tonight, and the algorithm did not simply push this onto your screen. Heaven directed you here because you need an answer. I know exactly what the last few days have felt like for you. You are waking up at 3 in the morning with a strange weight on your chest. You cannot explain this heaviness to anyone else. It feels like anxiety, but it is something much deeper that you cannot shake. You lie there in the dark while the rest of the house sleeps peacefully. And as you stare at the ceiling, your mind races through every single interaction you had that day. You wonder what you did wrong. People around you are suddenly acting incredibly strange. You walk into a room and the conversations abruptly stop. You can physically feel their eyes on you when you turn your back. Your closest friends now seem distant and guarded, and their smiles do not reach their eyes anymore. You try to act normal and keep the peace, but every interaction feels forced and drained of life. You feel like a stranger in your own circle. The text messages are getting shorter and less frequent. The invitations have quietly stopped coming your way. You are being pushed to the margins of your own life, and the hardest part is that no one is saying anything directly to you. It is a silent freezing out that leaves you questioning your own sanity. You desperately ask yourself if you are just being too sensitive again. You wonder if you are overthinking every small glance and quiet pause. They always called you too deep and intense. Now you are actually starting to believe their false narrative about you. You look in the mirror and search for the fatal flaw that makes them pull away. You replay conversations in your head, trying to find the exact moment you ruined everything while they move on with their lives. The enemy wants you sitting right there in that chair of self-doubt. He wants you to believe that your presence is a heavy burden to those you love. You have spent years being the designated peacemaker in your friend group. You swallowed your own boundaries to keep everyone else happy and united. But look at where that constant sacrifice has left you today. You are standing in a crowded room feeling utterly and completely alone, while the very people you fiercely protected treat you like a threat. This paradox is tearing your heart into pieces. I know about the tears you cry before walking into the house. You quickly wipe your face and put on that brave smile for them. You carry their burdens while your own shoulders are breaking under the massive weight. You desperately want just one person to look at you and truly see you. But their eyes are completely blinded by their own comfort, and they only want the version of you that quietly serves them. You can literally feel their unspoken judgment hanging heavily in the air. It is like a thick fog that chokes you every time you try to speak your truth. You started shrinking yourself down to make them feel comfortable. You lower your voice and hide your deep wisdom so they do not feel intimidated. But shrinking yourself is destroying your spirit from the inside out, because you were never meant to fit into their small boxes. You need to hear me very clearly right now. You are not imagining this sudden shift in their behavior. The weird tension you feel in your gut is completely real. Your spirit is picking up on a frequency your mind cannot translate. The enemy has been working overtime in your life for one specific reason, and he is terrified of what happens the moment you understand this isolation. He knows your breakthrough is tied directly to this separation. In the next few minutes, I am going to reveal exactly why their behavior suddenly shifted. I will show you the invisible spiritual dynamic playing out right in your living room. You will finally understand why the people you love most are reacting to you this way. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything you did wrong, but it is entirely about the massive light that is waking up inside of you. I am also going to expose the massive lie you have been telling yourself. You have been carrying a false guilt that does not belong to you. We are going to completely dismantle that dark deception today. You will finally see the spiritual block that has been keeping you trapped in this endless cycle of pleasing others. Once you see it clearly, the enemy will never be able to use it against you again. The heavy fog of confusion is going to permanently lift. And at the very end of this message, I will give you the exact declaration. I will give you the powerful words to speak out loud, to seal this massive shift. You will place your hand on your heart and take your spiritual authority back. But you must stay with me through this entire revelation, because your freedom is hiding in these next few minutes. If you leave now, you will miss the final verdict. You will walk right back into that confusing cycle of endless rejection. Stop asking yourself what you did wrong every single day. Stop obsessively reviewing every conversation, trying to find your hidden mistake. I am going to reframe your entire reality right now. The strange behavior from your friends and family is not a rejection, but rather, it is a profound spiritual reaction to your rapidly changing frequency. You have to deeply understand how spiritual energy works in this world. Everyone emits a specific energetic signature based on their level of internal healing. For years you have been vibrating at their lower level just to keep the peace. You dimmed your massive light so they would not feel totally insecure when they stood next to your authentic power. But heaven recently upgraded your spiritual software during your darkest season. You went through a period of deep pain that completely rewired your internal operating system. The old version of you was quietly dismantled in the dark while nobody was watching. And because you survived that heavy fire, you are now operating on a completely different and much higher frequency. Now you walk into a normal room, carrying this undeniable new light. Their spirits instantly recognize that you are no longer playing small and accommodating their daily dysfunction. And this sudden energetic shift makes them feel incredibly uncomfortable in your presence. They do not consciously know why they feel so awkward. They just know that your very existence challenges their comfort. Their logical minds just perceive a sudden threat to the established group dynamic, so they instinctively pull away to protect their very fragile egos from your bright light. The people pulling away from you aren't actually rejecting you at all. They are simply grieving the old version of you that they relied on because they know they are about to lose it forever. They heavily relied on you being slightly broken so they could feel permanently superior. They desperately needed your constant anxiety to validate their own toxic choices and their stagnant lives, because your chaos made them feel better about their own mess. But you are finally doing the deep healing work right now. You are finding your beautiful voice and standing incredibly tall. Your new piece is deeply offensive to their unhealed internal demons. When you carry a pure spiritual light, it automatically exposes everything hiding in the dark shadows of the people around you. You did not try to expose their fatal flaws on purpose. Just your quiet and peaceful presence is enough to make their hidden insecurities scream out loud. That is exactly why the casual conversations abruptly stop when you arrive. You are literally shifting the entire atmosphere of the room with your new frequency. They feel the heavy conviction of their own unhealed trauma every single time they look directly into your peaceful eyes. It is simply easier for them to avoid you completely than to face their own internal mess. So you must stop apologizing for making them feel uncomfortable today. Stop shrinking your massive spirit to fit perfectly into their tiny comfort zones. You were built by heaven for a totally different frequency and a bigger purpose. You were never meant to be everyone's savior, and you are not obligated to remain their permanent emotional dumping ground just to keep them happy. You are standing squarely between two distinct identities at this exact moment. The old identity is rapidly dissolving into the ground beneath your feet. The new, empowered identity is being birthed by heaven right in front of their eyes. This massive personal transition always causes intense temporary friction with the specific people who preferred you when you were small, broken, and easy to control. This heavy isolation you have been calling a cruel punishment was never a punishment. It was always a calculated and divine preparation for your next chapter. God deliberately removed the noisy crowd so he could finally speak to your heart without interference. He had to physically separate you from their endless drama in order to clearly hand you your next heavy assignment. The universe is actively clearing the room on your behalf right now. If those specific people stayed close to you during this season, they would only drag you backwards. They would pull you deeply into the exact painful cycles that you just barely escaped, which is why heaven had to aggressively remove them from your path. Their sudden absence is your spiritual protection in disguise. Your unexpected isolation is not evidence of your disqualification at all. It is the absolute highest evidence of your ultimate selection for a massive calling. Heaven is setting you apart because the beautiful gift you carry is entirely too valuable to be mishandled by people who do not understand your true worth. You are being carefully hidden in the shadows while you rebuild your spiritual strength. Do not chase after the fearful people who are quietly walking away from you today. Let them go with perfect peace and complete forgiveness resting in your heart. When you finally release your tight grip on those forced relationships, you create the exact energetic space needed for the right people to finally find your new frequency. New connections are already moving towards you right now. This is the profound truth that completely breaks the old toxic cycle. You are not the misunderstood victim who needs to constantly explain yourself to deaf ears. You are the chosen one who is simply outgrowing a very small environment. And once you accept this radical shift, everything in your reality will permanently change for the better, because you will never again apologize for your own bright light. You need to look deeply at history to truly understand your current season. Every single person who carried a massive mantle went through this exact same fire, and they were always separated from the noisy crowd before they stepped into their true power. Heaven does not hand out heavy assignments in the middle of a loud party. It only speaks in the quiet desert. Look at the story of Moses. He was raised in a busy palace surrounded by endless noise, but before he could lead a nation to freedom, he was suddenly pushed into a totally empty wilderness where he spent 40 years completely isolated from the people he thought he knew. He probably felt like a massive failure during that silent time. But that vast wilderness was never a punishment for Moses. It was a holy crucible designed to burn away his old identity. God had to completely clear the room so he could finally speak from the burning bush. If the palace crowd had followed Moses into the desert, they would have completely distracted him from that powerful and divine encounter. You are walking through your own personal wilderness right now. The sudden distance from your friends feels incredibly painful to your human heart. But from a spiritual perspective, this separation is a highly advanced filter that heaven uses to actively weed out anyone who cannot handle your massive weight. Your isolation is a divine boundary, and that is the exact reason this season happened to you. This is the truth I promised to reveal at the very beginning. This painful isolation was not sent to break your spirit. It was sent to prepare you for the next heavy assignment, because your deep isolation is not evidence of your disqualification from a good life. It is the ultimate evidence of your selection. You were specifically chosen for a frequency that most people will never understand. And because your calling is so heavy, your preparation must be equally intense. You cannot carry a massive light while dragging dead weight behind you. The people who quietly walked away from your life recently were simply not equipped for the massive altitude you are climbing toward today. When a massive spiritual upgrade is happening, the universe will forcefully clear the room. It will create incredibly uncomfortable situations just to purposefully remove the wrong people from your daily orbit. You might cry over the lost friendship today, but tomorrow you will heavily thank heaven for the brutal protection it provided. Their exit was a necessary subtraction for your growth. You feel incredibly lonely right now because your physical room is completely empty. But you must understand that the room is empty on purpose. God is bringing you into a sacred space where only His voice can reach your ears, and the silence is not a direct attack against your happiness. It is a holy invitation to step into your authentic power. If those old friends stayed close, their constant doubts would easily infect your calling. Their very small minds would slowly limit your incredibly vast potential. You would spend all your precious energy trying to convince them of your worth, instead of actually building your future. Heaven loves you too much to let you shrink down. This is why your current suffering is actually the highest form of spiritual training. You are being forged in the hidden fire like a precious weapon. The intense heat of this lonely season is permanently burning away every single trace of people-pleasing left in your soul. You are finally learning how to stand completely alone. Look closely at every truly anointed leader throughout human history. None of them were surrounded by cheering crowds during their most critical preparation phase. They were completely alone in the dark, while their character was being brutally tested, and they had to learn how to trust the invisible voice over the loud opinions of the world. You are walking exactly where they walked. You are standing in the exact same sacred fire that forged the greatest prophets and healers. Do not despise this quiet season just because it feels deeply uncomfortable to your human flesh right now. Embrace the heavy silence and let it do its perfect work in your heart while you are being carefully molded for greatness. The pain of losing those relationships will soon fade into complete irrelevance. When you finally step into the massive assignment waiting for you, you will instantly understand why the room had to be cleared. You will look back at this exact moment in time. You will realize that your perceived rejection was actually the greatest redirection of your life. Before we go any deeper into this revelation, I have a small request for you. Gently press the like button right now, so this exact validation can reach another chosen one who feels isolated tonight. There is someone else waking up at 3 in the morning. They desperately need to hear that they are not crazy. Help this message find them. But there is something underneath all of this that goes even deeper. The isolation was necessary, but their specific reaction to you was not just an accident. Once this truth clicks into place, you must see the hidden entity behind their strange behavior. Coming up next, I will expose the deeper layer operating beneath this entire season. But first, let this truth completely settle. Here is that deeper root I promised to reveal to you today. The strange way they are treating you is not a conscious choice. They did not wake up and suddenly decide to hurt you. It is a profound spiritual reaction. They are experiencing something called the decline effect in real time, and your rapidly rising frequency is violently clashing with their stagnant energy. You must understand how this decline effect actually operates in the unseen world. When you finally commit to your deep internal healing, your energetic signature drastically changes. You start emitting a very high and incredibly pure frequency, but the people around you are still carrying their heavy, unhealed trauma because they have totally refused to do their own shadow work for years. When your pure light enters their physical space, a massive friction is instantly created. Their unresolved pain aggressively collides with your new peace. This violent collision creates a heavy subconscious discomfort deep inside their physical bodies. They cannot logically explain why they suddenly feel so intensely agitated around you, but they just know that your presence demands a growth they fear. Your beautiful light acts like a massive spiritual mirror held up to their faces. Every single time they look at you, they are forced to see their own hidden flaws. Your perfect peace loudly highlights their endless internal chaos. Your brave authenticity highlights their constant daily compromises. They do not actually hate you at all. They simply hate the unhealed version of themselves that you expose when you walk into the room. This is exactly why they feel completely exhausted after talking to you for 5 minutes. Their spirit is fighting incredibly hard to maintain its old, comfortable illusions. The decline effect makes them feel like they are constantly losing power when you are near, and they feel spiritually diminished because your massive light outshines their carefully constructed fake personas. So they instinctively choose the easiest path of least resistance. They quickly pull away from you to protect their fragile egos from your bright mirror. It is simply much easier for them to avoid you than to actually face their own loud demons. They desperately want to remain perfectly comfortable in their familiar dysfunction, and your new frequency deeply threatens that toxic comfort. They are desperately clinging to a version of reality that you have already outgrown, and the more you grow, the more their own internal decline becomes totally obvious to them. It is a terrifying experience for an unhealed person to stand next to a chosen one. Your very existence proves that deep healing is actually possible, while your incredible freedom heavily highlights their willing captivity. This perfectly explains why you also feel incredibly drained after being with them. You are physically carrying the heavy weight of their subconscious spiritual resistance. Your body is working overtime to translate their unspoken hostility and quiet envy. You walk away from a simple coffee date, feeling like you just ran a massive marathon, because you are constantly absorbing their heavy, energetic shockwaves. You must completely stop trying to fix this massive, energetic mismatch today. You cannot lower your high frequency enough to make them feel comfortable again. If you try to shrink down now, you will literally destroy your own beautiful soul. The decline effect is a permanent spiritual boundary that heaven has firmly established, and it is designed to keep you totally safe from their low vibrations. Release the heavy guilt of leaving them behind in their own chosen darkness. You cannot force a blind person to suddenly appreciate a beautiful, bright sunrise, and you cannot force an unhealed spirit to appreciate your massive spiritual upgrade. They must walk their own painful journey at their own incredibly slow pace, so you are completely free from the heavy obligation to save them. Every single time they act strange or distant, you must instantly reframe the narrative. Remind yourself that their silent rejection is just the decline effect in aggressive motion. It is the absolute highest compliment your spirit could ever receive from them. It proves that you have successfully leveled up in the spiritual realm, which means your light is officially too bright for their shadows. You are no longer an energetic match for their massive and endless daily drama. You have officially graduated from their toxic school of high anxiety. Walk proudly in your new frequency and let the decline effect do its heavy clearing work. Heaven is actively pruning your tree so you can finally bear massive fruit, and the painful separation is just the necessary cost of your evolution. But there is still another layer operating beneath this decline effect. Once that truth clicks firmly into place, you must see the entity behind their reaction. There is something else hiding quietly in the dark shadows of their mind. Coming up next, I will expose exactly what that hidden entity is. But first, let this powerful understanding settle deeply into your spirit. You need to understand what is truly happening inside you today. You have been feeling completely exhausted and deeply broken lately, but you are not breaking down at all. You are actually going through a massive spiritual metamorphosis right now. The pain you feel in your bones is just the intense pressure of your spirit violently expanding inside a very small space. When the mighty eagle goes through its painful season of renewal, it must retreat to a dark and lonely cave high up in the mountains. It forcefully plucks out its own old feathers and waits quietly in the heavy silence. To anyone watching from the outside, the majestic eagle simply looks like it is dying, but it is not dying. It is violently shedding the old to make room for the new. You have been going through your own intense shedding process in the dark. You honestly thought you were just aging and losing your youthful spark because you felt so tired every single day. You truly thought your heavy sadness was a permanent state of being, but you have not been aging. You have been molting. You are shedding the thick armor that you wore to survive your trauma. That heavy armor kept you totally safe when you were constantly surrounded by toxic people in your past. But you cannot wear the heavy armor of a wounded survivor into the glorious palace of your true calling. You must completely step out of that old shell to finally expand. And stepping out of your old shell leaves you feeling incredibly raw and totally exposed to this harsh world. This intense rawness is the exact reason everything feels so overwhelming to your senses right now. You are exactly like pure gold, being held constantly inside a blazing hot forge. The fire is incredibly painful and completely relentless. But the master builder is not trying to destroy the gold in the fire. He is simply burning away the cheap impurities so the true value can shine. And when that pure gold finally emerges, its brilliant reflection is completely blinding to the naked eye. This brings us to the terrifying spiritual reality of why they cannot stand your light today. When you walk into a room, you are not just interacting with flesh and blood. You are interacting with the unseen spiritual entities that are quietly hiding inside the people around you. Your friends might be completely unaware of the dark spirits they carry deep inside them. They harbor old resentments and deep jealousies that act like heavy spiritual parasites on their souls, and these dark entities feed completely on anxiety and chaos to survive. When you carried your own brokenness, their entities felt perfectly safe and comfortable standing right next to you. But you are fully healed now, and your new light is a blazing fire. Dark entities absolutely panic when they are suddenly exposed to a massive spiritual light. Your pure frequency feels like a physical burn to the unhealed spirits living secretly inside them. The sudden hostility you feel from them is not coming from their human minds at all. It is their hidden demons reacting. The entities inside them are desperately trying to protect their dark and comfortable territory. They will make the person act strangely just to force you out of the room quickly. They will whisper paranoid lies into their minds to make them instantly distrust you. This is a highly calculated spiritual attack designed solely to push your blazing light far away from their darkness. This is exactly why their sudden rejection always feels so incredibly irrational and cold to your heart. You cannot reason with a dark entity that is fiercely fighting for its very survival. You must stop trying to have logical conversations with people who are being driven entirely by unhealed spirits. Your beautiful words of love will only sound like a severe threat to their demons. Your only job is to stand perfectly still and let your beautiful light continue to burn bright. Do not dim your frequency just to make their hidden parasites feel comfortable again. The more you shine your authentic light, the more the darkness will automatically flee from your presence. You are a walking spiritual purifier, and your mere existence cleanses the entire atmosphere. Every single time they pull away, it is a massive victory for your weary soul. It proves that the old chaotic spirits can no longer attach themselves to your brand new frequency. You are completely immune to their toxic games now. Heaven has wrapped you in a divine shield of blazing fire, and nothing unholy can ever cross that sacred boundary without being totally exposed. You are exactly where you are supposed to be in this glorious transformation today. The heavy molting process is almost completely finished. The painful fire of the forge has perfectly refined your beautiful spirit. You are finally ready to step into the massive authority that heaven promised you long ago. But there is still one very quiet thing standing in your way right now, and this brings us to the exact part that no one ever wants to hear. We must look honestly at a very subtle snare that is operating inside you right now. The thing that is quietly blocking your final breakthrough is not the enemy. Coming up next, I will expose this hidden block. But first, let this powerful understanding of your light settle deeply into your spirit. But here is the part that no one ever wants to say out loud. And I say this to you with nothing but complete love. The thing that has been quietly blocking your final breakthrough is not the enemy at all, because the enemy is entirely powerless against the massive light you currently carry. The real block is something hiding quietly inside your own mind. It is a subtle lie you have believed. I promised to expose the massive lie keeping you trapped in this cycle, and here is that exact revelation today. You have been actively shrinking yourself down just to keep these fearful people around you, and you falsely believed that if you just played small, they would finally accept you. But you are actually terrified of your own massive power. You are afraid of what happens if you shine. You are deeply afraid that your full light will leave you completely alone. So you constantly apologize for the brilliant wisdom heaven placed inside your spirit, and you deliberately quiet your loud voice so their very fragile egos can feel completely safe. But this constant shrinking is a dangerous agreement with smallness. You are literally negotiating with the darkness just to keep the peace. This is not an accusation against your beautiful heart today. This is the exact spiritual diagnosis that will finally set you completely free. You have been running away from the massive weight of your true calling because you desperately wanted to belong to their normal crowd more than you wanted to lead them. But a chosen one can never simply blend into a normal crowd. You were born to stand out. Your intense fear of success is much stronger than your fear of failure. You know exactly how to survive in the dark valleys of deep pain, but you are completely terrified of the high mountain peaks where heaven is calling you right now. You wonder if you are truly strong enough to carry that massive mantle alone, so you hold on to dead relationships because they feel completely familiar. Every time you dim your light to comfort them, you actively reject your calling. You are telling heaven that their temporary comfort is much more important than your divine assignment, and that is a compromise your spirit can no longer tolerate. You cannot serve two different masters at the exact same time. You must choose between holding their hands and holding the massive power God gave you. This subtle self-protection is the only thing keeping your breakthrough delayed. Heaven has already unlocked every single door standing in your future path, but you are still standing perfectly still in the hallway because you are constantly looking backwards. You are waiting for their slow permission to finally step into your massive greatness, but your breakthrough does not need anyone's permission. The people who truly belong in your next season will never ask you to shrink. They will look at your blazing light, and they will loudly celebrate your authentic power, while they stand confidently next to your fire, without feeling threatened by the heat. But you must be willing to walk through this lonely season to finally meet them. You must drop the heavy illusion completely. Your soul is exhausted because you are fighting against your own spiritual expansion. You are desperately trying to cram a massive ocean into a tiny teacup, and it is finally time to let the ocean completely overflow and wash away those old boundaries. Stop trying to protect the feelings of people who absolutely refuse to grow with you. Their spiritual journey is their own responsibility. You are officially done being the quiet scapegoat for their unhealed trauma today. You are done making yourself incredibly small just to survive their toxic rooms, because the heavy mantle you carry requires your absolute and complete obedience to the highest call. You must completely sever the invisible cords tying you to their low frequency. You must embrace the massive power you have hidden. This is the exact moment you stop running away from your own brilliant reflection. You look directly in the mirror and you finally accept the massive calling on your life, knowing that you are a frequency master and a pure vessel for divine light. The old version of you that desperately needed their validation is already dead. You are stepping completely into the beautiful unknown. And now comes the pivotal moment where everything in your reality shifts permanently. This is the critical juncture where we close the final open loop today, and we are going to permanently cut every single tie to that old shrinking identity. I promise to give you the exact declaration to seal this massive spiritual shift. Prepare your spirit for the absolute breakthrough waiting now. This is your moment to claim your massive freedom today. It is not happening tomorrow or when you feel perfectly ready, but it is happening right now in this exact room. Place your right hand firmly over your beating heart. Close your tired eyes and take a very deep breath. You are going to declare this powerful truth out loud with me right now. Let the words physically vibrate in your chest. I completely release the heavy need to be understood by everyone. I release every single agreement I made with playing small. I forgive myself for shrinking my beautiful light just to survive their toxic rooms. And I refuse to carry their massive misunderstanding of my soul anymore. I am officially dropping the heavy weight of their fearful opinions today. My spirit is completely free. I boldly cut every invisible tie to my old shrinking identity. I completely refuse to dim my brilliant frequency for their temporary comfort ever again. I am not a quiet victim of their sudden rejection today. I am a chosen vessel stepping fully into my divine power, because the painful isolation I endured was actually my holy preparation for a massive spiritual assignment. I step fully into my massive calling with absolute confidence now. I accept the beautiful and intense frequency heaven placed inside my soul. I will never apologize for my spiritual depth or my highly sensitive radar again. The old version of me that desperately begged for their scraps of validation is completely dead, and I welcome the massive light that terrifies the hidden darkness around me. I am fully protected by a blazing wall of divine fire. The chaotic entities hiding in others can no longer attach themselves to my pure energy. The universe is actively realigning my entire path right now, because I finally stopped knocking on dead doors that heaven securely locked for my own safety. I fully trust the beautiful direction of my new and elevated spiritual journey today. I declare that my massive breakthrough is not just coming soon. My beautiful breakthrough is already here and operating in my daily life. I am exactly where I am supposed to be in this glorious transition. My heart is completely open to the high-frequency connections that are currently moving toward me, and I am a true frequency master who completely owns my massive light. Keep your hand firmly planted on your chest right now. Breathe that profound and beautiful truth deep into your lungs today. Let it completely wash over your tired spirit like a warm, healing rain. You have officially crossed the invisible spiritual threshold forever, and you can actually feel the heavy weight falling completely off your tired shoulders right now. The thick fog is permanently gone. You can finally see your beautiful future perfectly clearly today. You are totally vibrating on a brand new and incredibly powerful frequency. The amazing people who truly belong in your next season are already looking for this exact light. They are actively searching for someone who carries your specific and deep spiritual signature, and you will completely magnetize them to your beautiful life. They will instantly recognize your spirit the moment they see you. You will never have to explain your deep and complex soul to them, because they already speak your rare spiritual language perfectly. They will look at your blazing light, and they will feel completely at home in your massive presence. You will finally experience the deep connection your weary soul has craved for so many years. Your powerful voice carries a massive weight in the unseen spiritual realm. When you finally speak your truth, the old chaotic entities must bow down completely. You are walking with a supreme divine authority that cannot be shaken by their small opinions, so stand incredibly tall in your newly found spiritual confidence today. Do not let anyone pull you back into their dark and fearful caves. You absolutely belong to the blazing sun and the highest mountain peaks. Your painful season of deep preparation is officially complete right now. You survived the brutal fire and you emerged as pure and unbreakable gold. The Master Builder is incredibly proud of the beautiful resilience you showed in the dark, and your glorious assignment starts the very second this powerful message completely ends. Every single step you take from this moment forward is divinely guided. You do not need to constantly look over your shoulder at the people you left behind. Their incredibly small journey is no longer your heavy spiritual responsibility today. You are entirely free to run toward the massive destiny that has been waiting for your arrival, while heaven loudly applauds your brave and bold decisions. Let the absolute reality of your chosen status settle deeply into your bones. You were perfectly designed for this exact era of massive spiritual awakening. The world desperately needs the pure frequency that you are broadcasting right now. Do not ever hide your massive gifts from the people who are praying for your exact light, because you are the living answer to someone else's desperate midnight prayer. You can safely lower your tired shoulders right now. The heavy spiritual warfare in your mind is officially over today. You have successfully crossed the massive bridge into your brand new reality, and you can never walk backwards into the small rooms you outgrew. The old toxic cycles simply do not have any power over you anymore. Your spirit is resting safely in perfect and absolute peace. Take a moment to feel the incredible stillness in your room. The chaotic energy that used to choke you is completely gone now. You have effectively cleared the spiritual atmosphere just by standing firmly in your truth. Your beautiful home is a sacred sanctuary filled with pure divine light. Nothing unholy can ever enter your peaceful space without being instantly exposed and destroyed by your fire. You do not need to mentally prepare for another painful battle today. You do not need to constantly scan the room for hidden threats anymore, because heaven is actively guarding your heart from every single direction. The heavy armor you wore for so many long years is finally gone. You are walking completely freely in your soft and beautiful authenticity, and your vulnerability is actually your greatest strength. Your massive breakthrough is not something you have to desperately chase. It is not waiting for you in some distant and uncertain future. Your beautiful breakthrough is already here and operating in your life today. It activated the exact moment you finally chose your divine calling over their temporary comfort. You are already living inside the miracle that you fiercely prayed for in the dark. Tomorrow morning you are going to wake up feeling completely different. The heavy weight that used to sit on your chest will be entirely gone. You will open your eyes and feel a massive surge of pure, joyful energy. And when you finally walk out of your front door, you will step into the world completely fearless. You will carry yourself with the quiet confidence of a true frequency master. You will never again question your own massive worth in this world. When someone suddenly pulls away from you, you will not panic. You will simply smile and thank heaven for the rapid spiritual protection they provided. You deeply understand that every single rejection is just a holy redirection toward your true tribe. Your heart remains perfectly open and completely unbothered by their fearful reactions. The profound clarity you feel right now is your new permanent baseline. The old heavy fog of endless confusion will never return to blind you again. You are finally seeing every single relationship through a perfectly clear spiritual lens, and you instantly recognize who carries the exact same high frequency as you. You will easily attract the most beautiful and deeply connected souls into your daily orbit. You are officially a massive beacon of light for the chosen ones. Your incredibly bright frequency acts like a powerful lighthouse in the dark storms. There are people wandering in the dark who desperately need your specific guidance today. They are looking for someone who survived the exact same brutal fire they are currently fighting. Your beautiful presence will guide them safely back home. That is exactly why your deep isolation was so incredibly necessary. You had to learn how to generate your own light in the absolute darkness. And now you are fully equipped to pull others out of their own deep valleys. You are not a lonely victim sitting quietly in the shadows anymore. You are a highly trained spiritual warrior who completely understands the hidden dynamics of this unseen world. If this powerful message met you in the exact place you needed it today, do not keep this incredible revelation completely to yourself. Share this specific video with someone who has also been called too sensitive their whole life. Send it to a beautiful soul who is currently wondering why they feel so totally isolated. You can be the divine appointment that heaven uses to set them completely free tonight. There are millions of chosen ones waking up to their calling right now. We are actively building a massive global tribe of empowered frequency masters. Subscribe to this channel and turn on all your notifications today so you never miss the next deep revelation about who you really are. We are going to continue unlocking these profound spiritual mysteries together in perfect unity and absolute love. You are completely safe and fiercely protected by the highest divine light. Rest your tired mind tonight, knowing that your heavy preparation season is over. The beautiful assignment on your life is officially activated and rapidly unfolding now. Walk forward in absolute peace and never shrink your massive spirit for anyone again. You are fully chosen and you are exactly where you are supposed to be.